Hello, dear friends. Welcome to our new topic, our new webinar for today, which is more special because we will talk about some more extraordinary possibilities, experiences, and we will explore how with astrology we can understand more also about our past, about our previous experience, and so on. So I'm waiting for you to join me. I will try to also open my app here. And today's topic will be more practical. So if you have watched our sessions, especially yesterday, it was a long one in 2 parts. Then the day before, we also had more like a, I would say, theory-based webinar. Today, the theory is not that much, but we will practice more. The ideas I will present you, they are not complicated. So you may start using this right away. And it's like just opening up new opportunities for you, literally for exploration. So that's the main point, exploration. Okay, I found how I start using this. Okay. So if needed, I can also see the comments here. So we are good to go. Happy Thanksgiving also to our US friends. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Yes, today is a day for celebration, but also a great day for spending time together and studying and exploring some interesting stuff. So the main topics for today are related to prenatal new moons and also past life experiences, how we can explore this with astrology. Also, I want to remind you that today's webinar is part of our marathon, which today is our 3rd day, basically. And next week, we will have 3 more sessions. So don't forget to join us next week as well. And of course, everything will be recorded. So if you're watching this at any other time, that's totally fine. You will be able to find the recordings as well. There's also a new course which starts during December, and I will share with you more a bit later. I have received different questions, so I will try to explain more how things will work. If you are interested, if you want a deep dive and also personal attention, because I think that's the greatest advantage of the live courses, that you will get personal attention and you will be able to ask as many questions as you need. So you can ask me questions also right now. I will try to read them as much as possible, answer to them, just so you know. So let's start with the past life experience, how we can explore this. First of all, our chart in general, our regular natal chart, is also providing a lot of information, or basically all the information there is related to our past, what we are coming with, which are the main topics. So everything is relevant. Our charts are never like randomly created like this. Like, it always resonates with our experience and what we are supposed to develop right now. But there are other ways in which through which we can dive even deeper to understand more about our past and to find deeper layers that may not be so obvious from the birth chart. And I will probably demonstrate this with my own chart, because in my chart, it's a great example of how you can find something important which doesn't really stand out only from the natal chart. But then when you look at this other chart that now I will teach you how you can calculate yourself, you get a very important different perspective. So sometimes I call this a past life chart, but I was thinking when I was preparing for our meeting today, is this really the best way to describe it? And probably it might be a little misleading, because if I say your past life chart, you might understand, or we might understand this as literally, you know, okay, this is the chart that I had in my previous incarnation. And that is not true. But what this chart is showing is the experience that you have gained. And there is an interesting question here. Is this chart showing the experience from your very past life incarnation, or all of them, or some of them? My understanding is that we have many experiences from many lifetimes, but when you are reborn, you don't necessarily have like access or use all of the previous stuff. Like, for example, you may need to work on particular topics in this lifetime, which may come from the past. So my understanding of this chart that I will show you how you can calculate now is that it resonates not concretely with your very past incarnation or all of the incarnations that you have, but this particular experience, which is somehow relevant also to this lifetime. And we can't know for sure, like, is this literally your very past life, or is this like three lives before that? Obviously, you understand that this is not a topic that we can be, you know, we can measure. But that's what I think. That's what makes sense to me. You may find, of course, your own answers and your own perspective. But for me, this chart is showing previous experience, which is important for this life right now. So I think that now I can just show you how this is calculated, because it's not complicated at all. So how do we do it? Very shortly. You take your normal, regular horoscope, and you need to move the time of your birth ahead until the South Node gets to exact conjunction with your MC. And this can be up to 24 hours after you were born. Again, I want to clarify, you don't move the time backwards, you move it ahead. Why? You may wonder why we move the time ahead if we're looking at something which is coming from the past. Because within the next 24 hours after our birth, our chart, with the way it's moving, is being activated. So all of the planets, when they get to the ascendant, when they are rising, the whole chart is being activated. So within 24 hours after our birth, our chart is being activated. And you need to find the time when your South Node will get exactly on top of your MC. If your software allows you, you can do that very quickly. I will show, for example, with mine, that's how it works. If your software doesn't have this, I'm not sure how you call this, but fast track or timeline or whatever, you just need to do that manually. You just need to try with different hours, different times, And keep in mind that sometimes you may need to look at the day after. It's also possible. So one thing is for sure, that this chart will be within the next 24 hours after you were born. You use the same location of your birth. You start with the date of your birth, but again, keep in mind, you may need to switch to the next date sometimes. We'll see. I think in my case, yeah, it switches to the next day. So about the house system, I personally work with Placidus for all of the charts that I calculate, for the natal charts, for this chart as well, for progress charts, for everything, except for horary charts. It's a bit more different there. But in natal astrology, I always use Placidus. So that's what I would recommend you do as well. So it will be easier again if I just show you how it's done. But I will need to open my chart here. Okay. So back to Zoom. Sharing screen. Okay. So this, guys, is my own chart. My natal chart, my regular natal chart. If you are interested, you may look into this chart. You may see what stands out, what seems important, how the planets are positioned. Because, of course, you always start from the natal chart. So that's one of the general principles. Whatever you do, especially if we talk about prediction, but not only, for any analysis, for any type of chart you might be using, first you check the natal chart. So you can see this sixth house with 5 planets there. Here there is another stellium, which is in 9th house, but on the cusp of MC, and 5th house. So basically all of my planets are placed within 3 houses. That's all. So like it or not, you need to work hard on those life areas. Okay, if needed, we will come back because I want to show you first how we do the other chart. So how are we calculating the past life experience chart? First of all, we pay attention, where is the South Node? It's in Libra, in 4th house, intercepted. Okay, so now we need to move the time ahead until the South Node gets here, and it turns the whole chart like a clock. So those planets should come somewhere on the lower side, and those should move up. And again, because my software allows this, I will use this option. So I'm starting to move now with 1 hour. Again, if your software doesn't have this feature and you are hesitating, like here, it's obvious that it will be much more than 1 hour. But if you're not sure, start moving it with 1 hour ahead. So this is the chart for the next 1 hour. South Node is getting to the cusp of 4th. Another. I keep moving. Now we are already the next day. We keep moving. And actually now it went straight there. I can confirm. So MC is 16 degrees, 19 minutes. The South Node is 16 degrees also, 18 minutes and some seconds. So basically this is the chart. In my case, it happened that it's like around that number of hour, but if your node gets somewhere here, you may need to be more precise then and check with minutes. So in this case, it just happened on its own. So what are we looking now? And what is the logic? Why we say that this can be considered as your past life experience? Because the South Node is what you have worked on. The South Node represents the things that you have developed, what you are bringing from the past. It's also your foundation, so the things that you can rely on. And when you put something on MC, like what is MC generally in the birth chart, the cusp of 10th house MC, this is the result. Normally in the regular birth chart, 10th house is the house of results. This is the place in the sky where the sun shines in the brightest way. Like this is usually around the middle of the day. When the sun gets there, it's like everyone sees it. It shines with a very bright light. And that's also the meaning of 10th house. It's like what shines, what is obvious, what is visible, what is basically the results. So when we put our South Node there, we can see, okay, what kind of results we are bringing from the past. And from here starts the interesting part. Like this so far, it's just a little bit of technical thing. Like you can learn to do that. It's not complicated at all. But then the interesting part is, what do you do with this chart? First of all, what you do is you look at that as a separate chart. You just look at what is happening here, where are the planets positioned, the cusps of the houses, are there accentuated areas, like everything that you would do with a normal birth chart. And so this is the first step. In this case, what stands out immediately is Uranus. Uranus is exactly on the ascendant. Exactly. 1 degree orb. So what can we say? That probably there is some kind of experience related to Uranus. It could be, well, it could be astrology, and that's my read, because when I started learning astrology, it came so easily for me, honestly, as, you know, it was more like remembering something, reminding myself something, not like something that I need to struggle to learn. It was like happening really, really fast for me, like in a very intense way. And if you go back to the natal chart, like, what is the interesting thing? If you look, this is the normal natal chart. Where is Uranus? You can always compare those, by the way. Switch between the two charts. That's the next step. And see, okay, Uranus in the past experience chart is positioned on the ascendant. Where is it in the natal chart? And if you look at the natal chart, Uranus is not in an accentuated position at all. It's somewhere in 6th house. Yes, it's in conjunction with Saturn, but it's ruling 8th house. Yes, it has major aspects here with the whole stellium, but it's not, this is not an accentuated position. 6th house is also not a really, you know, a house which makes something shine or be obvious or noticeable. Uranus is not ruling like 10th house or the ascendant. So we can say like not a really significant position. And at the same time, for myself, from my life experience, I know that this planet has always played a major role. And those aspects here, Uranus, especially with the moon and Mars, are some of the most important, if not the most important. Like I have always felt like this energy really dominates in my life. And when I looked at this chart and I saw Uranus here, that explained things. So you may also find sometimes planets which in the natal chart have one status, and then in this chart, it's something different. And this can bring you like different perspectives, different pieces of the puzzle. And from here, of course, you just keep exploring the chart. And there is a stellium here in first house. There is another one in third house. Pluto is also accentuated. It's in 10th house. So most likely, there is some kind of experience here related to either education or some kind of spiritual like direction, but definitely something related to education and development. Jupiter is in third house. The stellium is in third house. The first house is really accentuated. So it could be also some kind of leadership position with Pluto in 10th house. This chart is just giving you like a different perspective or a different layer, again, of your experiences of what you can use in this life. So those are also your resources. And for example, in this example, what's interesting, the regular chart, all of the planets are on the right side, the Western hemisphere. In the other one, it's exactly the opposite. All of them are on the left. So pay attention also to that. Which planets are left or right, up or down. This is also telling you a lot. So here we may say that also from the past, there might have been more focus on the self, like the left hemisphere is more about our expression, it could be independence also, and the right one is about other people. So there is definitely a shift. If you look at the signs from Libra to Aries, this is also the topic about me and the other person, and there is a shift also. So this is obviously an endless field. Like you can find so many interesting things. One more thing also I want to highly recommend for this analysis: pay attention to the things that change. The indication which usually changes is the moon most of the time, because the moon is the fastest planet. So especially if you change the time with, let's say, 10 hours or even less, sometimes the moon may change signs, which happens, by the way, in my case. In the natal chart, the moon was in Pisces. Here it's in Aries. So this also indicates important things. So from the past, the Aries qualities have been more important. So again, either some kind of leading other people or dominating in some way, or being more like, like it's not exactly lack of compromise, because the South Node is in Libra. So there is certain level of compromise for sure, but more like, I would say, like focused on one thing. Like the fire element is more focused in one direction. And now the moon is in Pisces in this life. So it's more about spreading. It's more about connecting and more about sensing the environment. So pay attention to the moon, if the moon changes signs, and also if the aspects of the moon change. Because especially if you need to move the time with a few hours or more, the aspects will change. And compare which are the ones that are still there. So in my case, the aspects which are still there are Venus and Neptune. Those two squares, it's a trine with Venus and a square with Neptune. They remain the same here. So Moon, Venus trine, Moon, Neptune square. Those aspects which, especially of the Moon, which are the same, somehow can be more important for you. And it could be something that needs to be also, you need to be more focused, like it's more accentuated. And the aspects that change, they are more like flexible. For example, here we can see, and also the conjunction with Mars is still there. So I have basically three aspects of the Moon which exist, which we can find in the two charts. Trine with Venus, conjunction with Mars, square with Neptune. So it means that even in my natal chart, I need to pay more attention to those aspects. And the new one, which I don't have in the natal, is a square between the Moon and Mercury. The Moon and Mercury. So first and third house. Interesting. You know, what is the Moon and Mercury? Difficult aspect between the Moon and Mercury can bring this feeling like the environment around you doesn't get you, doesn't understand you. Like people don't understand your ideas or opinions, and because the Moon is also in third house, like this is a topic. By the way, I'm kind of doing this on the go with you now because I haven't looked at this chart for quite some time. I keep finding more and more insights. So yes. So very shortly, that's how you do it. Again, I repeat that you just look into this as a different chart on its own. You can analyze it the way we analyze any birth chart. What stands out? Where are the focuses? Are there problematic areas? And then you compare what changes and what stays the same. Sometimes, in rare cases, other planets may also change signs. For example, if you have a planet which is on the very last degree, let's say the Sun or Venus or Mercury, usually the faster planets, they may also change signs. For the other planets, it would be very, very rare, but not impossible. But especially so if you know or you notice that you have planets in the very last degree, it is possible that it could be in a different sign in this chart. So also pay attention to that. So basically, what we want to find is what changes and what stays the same. And then the rest is just connections and making all of this work together. So do you have any questions about this type of chart? How we calculate it? You can also try to do this for yourself. Also pay attention to 10th house. Of course, 10th house, because 10th house, again, is the house of results. So in this case, it's Pluto. For example, I have Pluto in 10th house. If you have a planet here in 10th house or close to MC, this also makes the planet really accentuated and really important for you. And this is also a planet that you have, like the energy of a planet which you have developed in the past. And then, of course, you check what is the status of this planet? Is this planet in a harmonious position or more disharmonious? What are the aspects? So the fact that the planet is in 10th house doesn't necessarily mean that you have had amazing success and everything has been smoothless. That's rarely the case. Even when we succeed, it's like usually through work and effort. But in every case, a planet which is in your 10th house here would play a major role. And this is like a resource that you can use, a resource that you can rely on. So especially your planets in 10th house in this chart. Or even here from around the end, the Goklan zone, basically. The last, let's say, 10 degrees of your 9th house. Those are like resources, like treasures, like energies that you can rely on. So whatever the planet might be, pay attention. 10th house, also first house would be important. In this case, it's mostly first and third house, which are really accentuated, and Pluto stands out. Like we can say that the planets which are more kind of on the side are Venus and Saturn. They're a bit somewhere on their own, even though Saturn is with Uranus. So probably Venus. Venus is somehow on her own, even though Venus is the ruler of the South Node. So that's okay. Let me see if you have any questions. This is what you saw yesterday for me. 1 degree the South Node in Capricorn and Neptune. Yes. Now the moon is 17 degrees in Capricorn. Yes, the moon can move. Pluto is on the cusp of 11th. It works in the 2 houses, yes. When the planet is 5 degrees before the cusp of a house, it works in the 2 houses. And it may work stronger actually in the following house. So yes, it works both in 10th and 11th, and in 11th house, it might be stronger. My new chart has Uranus on MC in 10th house, Jupiter, Pluto in 9th. Natally, these are in my 8th. New chart has new moon, has moon in 8th. Yes. This is like, you will find, and my also recommendation is take your time with this. Like you are looking at this now, but keep looking, keep exploring, like new things may come up. If your Jupiter is in your 10th house, then this is your resource. Then that's what you have developed, what you have worked on. You need to check the status of this Jupiter. So is this the sign position strong? What are the aspects? So you will get a clearer idea, like how harmoniously this has been expressed or how stressful it might have been. So you just need to like consider everything. Here, one of the things we should avoid is to like generalize and make conclusions just based on one indication. So you need to consider basically, okay, Jupiter is in 10th house, but what is the status of this Jupiter? Because one option is that it means that you have had success or prosperity or, you know, some kind of recognition. Or another could be like that there has been a strong ambition, but maybe struggles and limitations, like, and you will tell more from the status of Jupiter. Will you use the first planet in the chart to judge the past life chart too? Yes, but usually it will remain the same unless the moon makes some kind of shift. But only the moon may change things. Otherwise, everything remains the same. But you can check the houses. The houses will probably change, like in my case. In the natal, it's on the cusp of 5th. In the past experience chart, it's on the cusp of 11th. So that's also interesting. So, and keep comparing, like, okay, I have it here in my natal chart. What is the situation in the other chart? Like, keep comparing. This is how you may find more insights when you compare. So you want to find what is similar and what is different, and both are important. So you switch between the two charts, and that's how you will make more and more connections. Like, for example, this Uranus in my case, which in the previous experience chart, I will just call it past life chart because it's faster to say and easier. So in the past life chart, Uranus is right on the ascendant. Okay, so this planet has had a major importance for me, obviously, if it's exactly on the ascendant. So I can check, okay, but where is it now? And it's in my 6th house. Okay, so 6th house is work, serving other people, health. So I need to find a way to connect those or to express it. So you can also make connections between the two charts. The first planet is of the first degree, not the first in the earliest houses. The first planet in the chart is not in terms of degrees, like first degree or 10th degree, but you need to find the most significant and the biggest empty zone in the chart. And then you have an area with the planets. So the first planet, and you are looking counterclockwise. And not all configurations, not all charts have a first planet. My chart is a mixture between a fan configuration and a bundle, and it has first planet. But for example, if your astrology pattern is a splash configuration or splash with conjunctions, you usually don't have a first planet. So it would depend a little bit on your configuration. Okay. So I want to show you now. Time is flying. Like, I thought, oh boy, today we will be so fast. It's been 40 minutes and I'm only at the first thing. But that's how it goes. It's okay. So I will show you quickly the other approach. Then I want to answer your questions about the upcoming courses, and we will take a volunteer, if we have one, to do a demonstration. So if you want us to look at your chart, be prepared to say so. So back to our sharing options. No, I need now the regular chart. So how or what is another way we can find more information related to the past? It's to find where was the last new moon before you were born. And how you do that? There are a few options. One is, again, if you have such a timeline option of your software, it will just do the work for you. Like, again, I will show you, it's very easy. Or if your software has an option for reversed or retro progressions, basically that's the same thing. You can also use it. If your software doesn't have an option like the timeline thing or option for reversed or retro progressions, then you need to open the ephemeris. You can find them, like there are online free ephemeris for the period when you were born. And you just need, or you can Google it. Like new moon, let's say I'm born January 87, so I can check, okay, when was the new moon during December 86? You can also do that if your software doesn't have reversed progressions. Okay, let me open progressions. So how do we do that? Here we use the day option. I did it wrong. No, it's not supposed to be like that. I will let you know just to get to it. This is the progress chart for now. We want to find, we can do this with the transits. It will be easier actually. But with the transits, it will show me many aspects. Okay, this is 87. Let's do it with the transits. It will be easier. So we are looking at the transiting chart. Again, we start from the natal chart. And we want to move the time backwards until we find the new moon. In my case, it's just a few days earlier. So again, in your case, it will be up to 28 days before you were born, depending on your current lunar phase. For example, in my chart, I have a first lunar phase, so it's just a few days before I was born. If you are, for example, born during a third or fourth lunar phase, it could be like 2-3 weeks, up to 28 days. And what we want is we want to get the moon and the sun in exact precise conjunction. Again, you may need to play with the time here. So almost there. So you turn the time, you change the time until you get to the exact conjunction between the sun and the moon. Or if online you can find the information like when was exactly the new moon, this will make things faster and easier. So here is my progressed new moon chart, prenatal. This is called prenatal new moon. So we have the sun and the moon in exact conjunction. Here we can also see 9 degrees and 5 minutes for both of them. So what do we do now? Again, first we look at the chart. But here we pay attention only to the very close orbises. So here I'm not using the usual natal chart orbises, like 10 degrees, 5 degrees, that's too much. To be precise, in order to be precise in this chart, we need to use very small orbises. So I would take up to 2 degrees. If it's on the edge, maybe I can consider it up to 3. But generally, pay attention to aspects up to 2 degrees. And something very important, here we also consider the minor aspects. In the natal chart, I'm also considering them, but my point is don't forget about them. They play a major role in this chart. May play if we have such. So we are not just looking at trines and squares and oppositions and conjunctions, but we also pay attention to the minor aspects. They can tell you a lot. So the first thing to check, which is the sign of this new moon? Is it in the same sign as your natal sun, or is it in the previous sign? Those are the two options. In my case, it's again in Capricorn, just like my natal sun. But in some cases, the prenatal new moon might have been in the previous sign. And that's something to pay attention to. It means that you have a potential from this sign, like if it's in the previous sign, it's a strong potential. And the current sun sign is more unfamiliar for you. You're like more new to this. Or if it's in like my case, like my natal sun is in Capricorn and the prenatal new moon is also in Capricorn, then it's more like, okay, you are already stable with this energy. It's more like the energy is repeating. So, or it's building up. So that's the first thing to notice. Again, I repeat, is it the same sign or it was in the previous sign? Then you check in this chart only the closest aspects. And here what we can see is that the progressed new moon is in exact sextile with Pluto. Like 20-minute orbits, very, very close. So this is the major theme. This is the most important. We check also other aspects. With Mercury, it's 7.5 degrees, so it's not that strong. With Venus, there is a semi-square. So this one is significant because for the minor aspects, if you have them, because we use very small orbises, if you see a minor aspect, you can always consider it. But with the major, check what is the orbis. And there is a quintile with Mars, 3 degrees. Here it's 3.5, so not so much. With Neptune, the conjunction is 3.5 degrees. It's on the edge, more like no. 3.5 is a bit too much. But with Pluto, there is a sextile with 20-minute orb. So basically, that's the most important thing we should see in this chart. We have a prenatal new moon again in the same sign, so something is continuing. And the Sun-Pluto aspect will play a major role. And of course, you put that on top of all of the other interpretations that you make from the natal chart. Like you can check, okay, where is this Pluto in the natal chart? Is it an important planet? Like you just put all of the blocks together. And then once you explore this chart, you can also look, when your time is very precise, you can look into this also as a chart, like with the houses and everything. For example, Venus here is on the ascendant, which is also interesting. Venus is the ruler of the South Node, so we have another repetition of topics. And then once you look into this chart, you find if there are any significant aspects, you go and compare it to the natal. So the most important is you need to see this degree where the new moon is. In my case, it's the 10th degree of Capricorn. Where is it in the natal chart? And is this degree somehow connected to other natal planets? And when we do that, here are the overlays. So the inner circle shows the natal, the outer circle shows the prenatal new moon. Here is our prenatal new moon at the 10th degree in Capricorn. And we can see that it's exactly on top of the natal Mercury, 1 degree orb. And Pluto is not moving. Of course, Pluto is so slow that it's still in the same position. So what can we find here? That in the natal chart, there is a sextile between Mercury and Pluto. And the prenatal new moon activates this sextile. I will share with you something else that based on another technique with which we calculate like which are those aspects that may remain the same during your whole life or could be like affecting you for decades. In my chart, I have such an aspect, and this is again Pluto and Mercury. So basically, with such analysis, you may find things that may not be so obvious. Like if you just look at the natal chart again, Mercury and Pluto, it's just a sextile. Yes, it has a small orb, but is it such an important aspect? You can't say right away. Like you can't say, oh, that's the story of your life. You can't say that directly from the natal chart. But when you look at this prenatal new moon, and you see that the prenatal new moon is exactly on top of this Mercury, and it's in sextile also with Pluto, and then also you compare it with the other thing I told you, that in my case, this will be an aspect that continues during my whole life in progressions, then you understand that that's the theme of the chart. That's the most important theme of the chart. Mercury and Pluto. And then you can do whatever you want. I mean, you can analyze, okay, which are the houses which those planets are ruling, in which houses they are. Like you may gather more details, more information, but you already have like the priorities. You can see, okay, that's like at the top of the pyramid, in other words. So that's one of the most, I think, important things if you want to become a really good astrologer and to be able to do much more than generic readings or AI readings or whatever, empty software stuff are offered there. How you do that? You need to be able to find such connections. You need to be able to find those indications, or like the hierarchy in the chart, like what is at the top and what comes next and so on. And some of those things you can find easily from the birth chart. Like if you just look at this natal chart, you can say, okay, like it's obvious, this stellium here on MC plays a significant role. Like that's showing up right away. But then if you look at this mess here in the 5th and 6th house, you may, be like that. Okay, what do we do here? Like it's not very clear. And it may seem like it's not, like nothing is standing out. Even though, of course, Pluto is standing out. But anyway, like Mercury is not. Mercury is very much in the shadow here. But when you can add such approaches and techniques, you can build up this hierarchy. And that's how you stand out, basically. That's how you find the deeper layers. And then, once you find such connections, everything in the transits or progressions or other predictive methods would play a major role if it affects this aspect. So you know that you always need to pay more attention to those indications. So that's the very short version. Again, I wanted to make it shorter, but I couldn't. So that's just honestly the tip of the iceberg. So you can explore the whole prenatal lunar cycle. And this is something that we will learn how to do together if you want to join us. But generally, you can explore all of the prenatal phases of the lunar cycle, like first square, full moon, second square, and so on. And you can also find what has been the development. And then you can even do it for this lifetime, starting after your birth. And that's how you can find the flow, how things it's not how they have started, because they aren't starting with this prenatal new moon. They are starting, we don't know when and where, but it's back in time before that. But at least we start exploring it from somewhere. Just as another idea, you can explore new moons even before that. This flow might be a bit heavier, and it might be more difficult sometimes to process or to understand it, or because you understand that you're going so much, deeper in the past. So this may not be necessary right away, but just so you know that hypothetically you can explore even before that. But again, the flow could be deeper and more complicated. But then you can also see, okay, how does this develop in this lifetime? So it's extremely interesting. Like, for me, this is fascinating. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I will join you here. And before we also do the reading for some of you, if there are volunteers, I want to answer some of the questions about our upcoming course, which is starting during December. Actually, guys, I can bring my presentation back because I want to make sure I don't forget. Where was I presented it somewhere here. Yes. So very quickly, what can you learn, or what you can expect from this training. We have 2 modules. You can sign up for one or both of them, depending on your desire. The first module is focused on natal astrology. The second one is focused on predictive astrology. But in both of the modules, we are exploring things from the perspective of development and progress. So yes, we will talk about all the needed theory from ABC, literally, but we will have this resourceful approach. So to see, okay, how can I develop, or what is my next step for progress or for development, or to move forward. So this is basically one of the most important things for me about this training and my personal goals, like that we are all starting this, we will be together in this process. And it's important for me that every one of us, me and you, will find our next step to either learn more about astrology and also have some kind of concrete result, or to have like a real development or progress, or understand and start this process. So this is really, really important for me. Here you can see some of the main things. We will talk about the general things. So how to evaluate the chart overall, then of course the big picture and the building blocks. And I will also, this is the other thing, I want to show you and teach you how you can find those indications that are standing out. Like one of the things I was showing you today, some of the things are related to this, but this is really important to be able to find this hierarchy so that you are not lost, and also you don't miss on important indications in the chart. So what is included in the first module? You get 50 hours of pre-recorded classes, and you get the access right away. You can watch them as fast and as soon as you want. You get all of the natal astrology theory there. Then we also have 8 months of weekly classes together. We will talk about more theory, like more advanced stuff. We will spend a lot of time on practice. Probably at least half or even more of the time will be practice, practice, practice. By the way, here in the pre-recorded classes, also after every lesson, you also have a practice lesson, like a demonstration with the chart of a popular figure, so that you see how we do what we have just learned in the previous class. And of course, Q&As. Your questions and your needs will be very important for me. So this is a live experience, which means that each member of our group will be important. And many of the things will also depend on your needs in this training. So your questions, your feedback, your needs will also be part of creating this experience. So it's not just me, bringing my ideas and just pushing them to you, and then you go and you do what you want with that. No, it will be a two-way process. Like for me, it's important to know, like, if you have something concrete you're struggling with, or you want something more precise, or I will always pay attention to that. So we are starting on the 9th of December. Most likely the classes will be on Saturday, even though I'm considering the option that, for example, if the group has other needs, we may change this. So we'll see. The second module is about prediction. Here we will talk about transits, secondary progressions. We will pay very significant attention to the secondary progressions, because they are the most important method for this development and progress. We will start with those prenatal stuff, but then I will show you, okay, how do you see like the whole flow, how things develop in our life, between different decades and so on, and even in the future. So lots of time we will spend on secondary progressions, also solar return charts, the prenatal stuff as well. The second module will also last for 8 months, and we will cover all of the theory again with practice, with Q&As together. For now, the plan is that it will happen on Sundays, but again, we'll see if something needs to change. The main focuses, or what is the most important for me, to offer you like the most flexible approach. So from one side, if your mind is overactive and you want everything to happen fast, you can watch the pre-recorded classes within probably a couple of weeks. Or if you need more time, also completely fine. You can watch them later, whenever you have time. At the same time, we also have the live flow. We have the live classes and meetings together. Another thing that I'm very happy with is that there will be an ongoing community. So it means that it's not a course that will end and that's just it. There will be another option for community membership, which will start from this January. And for those of you who joined the class, actually join the course, you will get access to this community right away. And if you want to continue your membership, it will be something very affordable, probably like $100 per year or something like that. And this will be ongoing. So you can pay $100 per year and you can join our regular community meetings, and you will keep learning. There will be more practice, questions, and all of that. So basically, I want this to be like a place or like a platform where you can always come back. You will always be able to find more and more and to continue again your growth and development. The training will be structured. As you saw, I have a stellium in Capricorn, so I like things to be structured, yes. But at the same time, again, I will consider also the needs of our students. The innovative approach for me is mostly related to our focus on resourcefulness. So not just to analyze, okay, you have Saturn square Venus or you have Sun opposite Uranus and that's how it is and that's all. But my approach and focus and perspective is to try to find more constructive ways to use our energies. So in other words, how we can do the best, how we can do the most of our charts. And this is also for me like very, very exciting to learn to see the dynamic, the whole life flow. And that is possible. And it's really amazing. So not just the birth chart is something static, but to see how it develops, how it has developed in the past, also during your lifetime until now. And you may even, if you're curious, look for the next years and see what's coming. And that's something that we will learn how to do together. You will have the option to get certified also after certain tests and exams. So it's not just automatically. Basically, we want to have like a high standard. So if you are well prepared and if you have learned the material well, you will be certified with us. And you will get the chance to be promoted also by me. I will personally have interviews with you and podcast if you want. None of that is obligatory, but you will be offered this option. So you can start promoting yourself and building up client flow and audience and all of that. And I will try to help you and to support you, because for me, that's also important. Okay, is there anything I'm missing? Bonuses, of course. I shouldn't forget about bonuses. As I said, you can sign up for only one of the modules if you want to, or for both of them. If you want to sign up for both of them, you will get the course on relationship astrology and karmic astrology as a gift right away. And did I put this? Yes, I put it here. If you sign up until the end of the day or until tomorrow for the 2 modules, and you choose the one-time payment option, you will get a personal astrology study done by me, which is looking into this flow of your life. So not just your natal chart, but also the previous experience chart with the prenatal cycles and the development also for the next decade. And generally it's I can say that it's like a research of your own chart and life. So it's extremely interesting. It includes rectification, because here the more precise the time is, the better. So you get birth time rectification plus this in-depth analysis. So we will put the links below after the webinar. If you're interested, you can learn more on the website, on the page. And if you have any questions, you can always contact me, ask me your questions. I would love to answer you. Now I'm back to you here. And I want to see if you have any questions. What if you were already born on new moon? Chances are you were not born like exactly when you have a conjunction. I guess it happens for some people, but that's like very, very rare. Most of the time it can be a new moon, but not exact conjunction. So you need to move the time until the sun and the moon are in very exact conjunction. So here the precision is extremely important. Don't do it just like, they seem close around and that's my prenatal new moon. No, here you need to be extremely precise to get the sun and the moon to being, like degree and minute the same. So also sometimes we call this a new moon, but it's possible that it's a little bit before the new moon. So if your moon is before the sun, you will actually need to go back to the previous lunar cycle. So basically, you do exactly the same. You just follow exactly the same steps. That's the short answer. Does the degree have to match your natal degree of the South Node? If you mean about the prenatal new moon, no. Those are different. For those with unknown birth time, it's better to use host sign instead of Placidus. No, why? I don't think so. If you don't know your time of birth, you use the chart of the sunrise, but you can use again the Placidus house system. And I just highly recommend you to get your chart rectified. My niece was born 4 minutes after the new moon, Okay, that's an interesting case. Yeah, it does happen. I mean, yes, we have a new moon at a particular time, so some people somewhere are born, but it's extremely rare. Well, not extremely, but it's very rare. Yeah. So you can check the previous new moon as well in this case, if it's like just 4 minutes. And there will be something specific, like this is an interesting case, Xenia. Yeah, you can explore it. So do we have a volunteer? Do we have someone who wants to join me on Zoom, turn their camera on and microphone so that we can have a discussion? And if you have, like, please also share in the chat if you want to be a volunteer, something you want to explore. Like, what is the reason, or what do you need to find, or what, something like that. I want to be able to sense the energy. So just share a little bit, not like a novel, but just very briefly, what do you want to find out? On different prices. In my presentation, there are no prices, Angelica. In my presentation, there is only a price for the gift that you are getting, for the bonus, which you will receive for free. But in my presentation, there are no prices. If you have any questions, you can contact me also, if anything is unclear, okay? Let me see. Okay, I'm just waiting for you guys to share. For those who are willing to participate, we have some brave volunteers already. I'm just waiting a bit more if there is anyone else. Okay, how about Erin? Erin wants to find out about her, or yeah, her history with astrology. Erin, would you like to join me on Zoom? I will send the link. 1 second. So please, guys, only Erin should join me on Zoom. So Erin, please try to, I'm posting the Zoom in my, the comments. No worries. If you have company, that's totally fine, especially if it's your daughter. So just, let me see. So I'm waiting for you, Erin, too. Yes. Let me see.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Erin. Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, 1 second. So I will need first to. So can you please tell me your birth details? Just Erin.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm probably gonna verify the time real quick. But it's July 30th,
Yes.
1979.
Yes.
The time is 3:23 a.m.
23 a.m. Yes.
and it's Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. There's two options.
Can you please type it in the chat if it's not too much trouble? Here on Zoom, you can just, so I'm not
Yeah. Let me see if I
making you repeat it 100 times until I get it.
Yeah.
Just
okay. Camp Hill, PA, USA. And there's usually two options that come up, and it needs to be Cumberland County for the houses to be correct.
okay. I will. Camp Hill. Got it. Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. Okay, so give me a few moments now to calculate the chart before we start exploring it together. Are you celebrating today? Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a small dinner later. It's just a couple of us.
Okay, so you
have pumpkin pie.
Yes. So it was Cumberland, right?
Yes.
Got it. And the coordinates. This one. Time difference -4. Time difference -4. So your ascendant should be in Cancer, right?
Yeah, or it's pretty early, I think 2 degrees.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to add it here. Mm-hmm. 323. Where is your time of birth from? Is it birth certificate or memory of your mother, or
Birth certificate, I'm pretty sure.
It works well.
I'm pretty sure. It could be that I asked my mom, but I'm 90% sure it was on my birth certificate. And I think she was the C-section baby.
No, mothers sometimes may have more accurate information than the birth certificate. So it is, yeah, I mean, it's different. Okay, I'm almost ready. Okay, I will share my screen so that we can look at your chart. You're fine with me sharing your chart, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's share it. So also for our audience, please feel free to comment, to share if you want to share something. How interesting is that? Erin, your South Node is exactly on your MC.
Yeah.
That's a very special situation, I would say. Yes, because it means that basically the two charts in your case are practically identical. It's the South Node is just 1 degree away from the cusp of MC. So I will move it a little bit, but it would be literally like 1-2 minutes. So nothing will change that much. The chart will be basically the same. So from this perspective, you can look at this chart also as like something is continuing from the past, something that you have already developed, something, or also, you know, like something that you have worked on in the past. The results now should become visible. The results now should be like more expressed in certain way. So that's a very, very rare case, by the way. Very few people have such a, yes, like the South Node is exactly, in a way, we can also say that your current experiences in this life are extremely connected to the past. More or less, that's true for everyone. But we have variations. So I don't think that that's exactly, you know, the same and for everyone. And in your case, the connection is like equal. It's just very, very strong. So I would say that in your life, nothing will happen out of nowhere or without the logic or without some kind of reason. Even if it's not obvious, sometimes, you know, it may take some time to understand what is the point, but in your life, like everything has a point, like everything makes sense. Everything is like there is something very predetermined here and not in a bad way. It's just like, you know, like a very important path that you are supposed to follow. Hello. We have company. And it's not a coincidence that we have this company now. Hello. Yes, I'm just looking at your Moon Pluto conjunction on the cusp of 5th house. How important this looks like for you, and also even Uranus in 5th. We were, you shared with me that you are, now I got it. Yes.
Yeah,
Now
that's me.
The love for astrology. Yes.
Well, I've loved it for like a long time and really want to study and have been studying. But you know, and in my studies, I see people who are like, oh, I was born to be an astrologer because I have Uranus in the 10th house or this or that. And I to see those things in my chart, but it was, and so I'm like, well, why do I love astrology? So that's like my burning question. And the first class that you did, when you said about the 5th house, I was like, oh, that's like, I love it.
Yeah.
So
It's in your heart. Like 5th house is what is in our heart. Like, and generally you have a very strong 5th house. And most likely because I also have a strong 5th house, so you just felt this this energy. It resonated with you. Yes, because with your Pluto and Moon on the cusp of 5th, and they are also a focal point of a bisextile. There is like so much energy. Like a 5th house for you is one of the key houses. It's there are a few houses in your chart which are very important. They are 2nd, 4th, and 5th house. That's the foundation of your chart, especially 4th and 5th. 4th, because Saturn is here exactly in conjunction with the North Node. So this is something that you need to work on, you need to build. It's some kind, you need structure, and you need it inside of you, because you your South Node and Neptune are very well developed. So you can sense things, you can feel many things, but you need to learn more to structure things, to organize them, to put them into some kind of shape. And this will start first from inside. That's because of 4th house. So you need some kind of inner structure. So 4th house plays a major role, and 5th house is also like, I'm just hesitating, like which one is more important. I'm like this or that, like, because they are very important, both of them. Because in 5th, you have Moon and Pluto exactly on the cusp. The Moon is ruling your ascendant, so it brings even more focus. Plus, it's a focal point of a bisextile. So your 5th house is extremely important. So we can definitely say that you are a passionate nature. You are someone who needs to be, you know, like in love with the things that you do. That's very, very important. Pluto is ruling your 6th house. So I would say even through your work, you need to find things that you are passionate about. Like, passion is extremely important. Passion, because of Uranus, also excitement. And I will tell you about your question about astrology, also something very interesting. You have another thing which is extremely rare. Aspect configuration, which includes only creative aspects. Mars with Venus and Uranus. Those green aspects, they are aspects from the group of the quintile. So it's a big quintile with a semi-quintile, and this one is quintile and a half. So it's a closed configuration. This is very rare. This is, I would say, more rare than the South Node in conjunction with MC. Very few people have such, because we use very small orbises for those aspects. And to have them in a closed configuration, that's very special. So this is also one of those ways how we find what stands out, or what is the hierarchy in the chart. Planets which are part of closed configurations, they are like friends. Or even if, for example, if we have like difficult aspects, they may not be like best friends, but they can cooperate. It's like they can work together, even if sometimes there are conflicts. There might be, depending on the aspect. But this configuration doesn't include any conflicts. And it brings incredible, first of all, it shows that you have some kind of experience, like you have something has been developed. And here Venus, by the way, plays a major role, because Venus is the focal point. So your Venus has a special status. It's ruling your 5th. So again, it's about the creativity. You know, you have an interesting task to turn this creativity and some kind of inspiration into some kind of concrete forms. So 2nd house is important. So yeah, I'm also now seeing this from a different angle. So it's not just 4th and 5th, but as I said, 2nd is also a key house in your chart. And the sun is there as well. Actually, Your sun and Mercury, your sun and Mercury are part of this configuration as well.
Oh.
Yes, because they are in conjunction.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we can definitely say that you have some experience. It could be astrology, it could be something occult, it could be something spiritual. Like most of the time, people don't limit themselves to only one thing.
Yeah.
But yes, I do think that you have some experience, but your task now is to use this knowledge or an experience and abilities in a practical way, because the focal point is in second house. So not just to inspire yourself or to enjoy something, but your focus should be to apply this in some kind of concrete way, to have some kind of practical benefits. I would say even maybe to earn money from this, not just for fun and for something abstract, but actually the opposite. It should be for something concrete, which works very well with your North Node Saturn conjunction. That what you do should have like a concrete direction, and in other words, you should try to accomplish some concrete results. And as I said, also it could be related to money as well. The focus on money is also important. And overall, we can say that your sun is very well developed. The sun is in Leo. It's part of this configuration with Uranus. So you really have a creative potential. A potential challenge here, or something that you may need to work on, is this Mars. Mars is a little bit in the background, like not very expressed. Why? Because it's in 12th house. But even more importantly, it's intercepted.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what makes your Mars a bit, we may say, maybe slower, or it might take you more time to, like take action or to be able to manage all of this potential. Which may also mean that probably a bit later in life, it is starting, or it's becoming easier, because usually intercepted planets, we learn to work better with them with time. So you are one of those people who, may need more time. It's like to uncover their full potential, because you do have like a very, very strong potential with this green configuration. Is absolutely exceptional. It's just incredible.
Wow.
Yes, I'm looking also that Saturn also has a green aspect with Mercury. Is it with Mercury? With the sun. Yeah. Also, the green aspects are bringing usually many choices and possibilities for a change. So that's an interesting combination, because from another point of view, we see that, you have some directions, but it seems like you can have like different choices, but all of them will be important. It's like every direction will lead to something else after that, to something which is important. So yeah, this is something you need to develop. But again, the main focus should be through second house, which means, like concrete, practical with some kind of benefit even for yourself.
Money.
Money. Absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Money. Okay. Do you want to see the prenatal new moon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you tell me what the name of the configuration is again that you said was rare?
It doesn't have a particular name.
Mm.
Yes, it's not like a bisextile or a tau square. So it doesn't have a name. It's just a closed aspect configuration.
Oh, okay.
You won't be able to find information on the internet about it. So
you're my mind.
Yeah, there isn't. Those things are too, I would say, advanced. So you won't be able to find, but yeah, but it's essential. Let's see what we can find from the prenatal new moon. Actually, I need to change this also to your date of birth. 30th of July, 79. So now we will find the new moon. It's on the edge. Let's see. I think it will be in Leo. The first degree of Leo is where your prenatal new moon is. It's very interesting. Let me just find the minute precisely. Here it is. So the very first degree of Leo is where your prenatal new moon is. The first degree of Leo, or I would say the first 3 degrees of Leo are stronger than the other degrees. So this is like the energy there is very intense. And this is also another way to look into the degrees. The first 2.5 degrees, they resonate with the Mars energy of every sign. Yes, that's why when the planet is entering a sign, the first 2.5, 3 degrees, they're more dynamic because they have this Mars energy, just like the last 3 degrees have the Pisces energy, and everything can be, floating a bit unclear and so on. So the last 3 degrees are critical. The first 3 degrees, I don't consider them as critical. They're more like dynamic. It could be in a bit of Mars way. So we are not very, like crafted. We are not very familiar or experienced with that, but there is lots of enthusiasm and motivation. So I find this interesting when we compare, or if we look at your Mars, which is intercepted in 12th house. So, probably for whatever reason, let me just, you have had too much of this energy, like Mars energy. In other words, braveness, probably impatience, probably motivation, to move on, to do things. But my feeling is that there has been some kind of experience which has been like, okay, you need to take it slower, like something that is making you be more cautious now. Some kind of experience that is, like making you like, okay, you need to slow down, you need to, which by the way also resonates with the fact that the North Node is in conjunction with Saturn. That and this is a combination. What kind of conclusion we can make? It's that your natal Mars is not actually weak. Even if it looks like that, it's in 12th house and intercepted, but actually it's not that you are missing this energy. You are not missing the Mars energy. It's just on a deeper layer within you, because now you need to learn more other qualities, like to embrace more Saturn, some kind of cautiousness, to be more careful. And if Mars is too expressed, usually it makes it more difficult. So actually, how I see things here, when you develop more your Saturn, so this cautiousness, this responsibility to plan things, to structure things, this will help you after that to unfold your Mars. Because once you learn those qualities, or you embrace them and so on, this Mars will no longer be a problem. In other words, you will be able to control this Mars. So I think that this will make the whole chart work differently and will allow the special configuration that you have also to work more. Because now it might be a little delayed because Mars is intercepted. So you don't have a weak Mars, even though if we just look at the chart, like technically we should say that it's a weak Mars, but in reality it's not. It's just you need to block it for a while so that you can develop the other qualities, so that it's not like pushing you all the time to keep doing the Mars things that you already know how to do.
That really hits.
Yeah, it resonates with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Mars is like, even here, Mars is the first planet also of your chart. You do have a first planet, and it's Mars. So Mars is like really interesting. It has a really interesting status in your chart. What was Mars ruling in the natal? 11th and 6th house. So 11th could be about a social circle, more like it could be a community. It could be like some kind of vision. This will also be unfolded with time. When it becomes, I would say, safer for you to express your own Mars. And this will happen after you feel like you can rely on your Saturn. That's what will allow you. Yeah.
Structure.
Yes. Let's go back to this. What are the aspects? Again, here we want to find like very... and one more thing also, the new moon, prenatal new moon is in 5th house. So again, it's showing us how important 5th house is for you. So creativity, finding what you love, and it's in Leo here. So you really have a very strong creative potential. And one of the important questions you should keep asking yourself is like, am I putting my soul and heart into the things that I do? That should be like your lackmus, like, So I would say that you have like a high level task, or can we call this a mission? It is a very high level advanced task, yeah. Because you are also supposed to develop Saturn. So this combination, 5th house and Saturn, it's also about like, really building up and creating something, not just enjoying 5th house, to have pleasures and fun. Not that this is a bad thing, but for you, that's not the top, you have more to explore from fifth house, not just the having fun, which again, we are not judging and we are not saying that you should give up on. But there is more for you, more than that.
Wow.
Let's see, what else do we have here? So Saturn has a nonagon with the prenatal new moon. So you have had some kind of, it's either problems with some kind of structure or some kind of limitations or some kind of heavy responsibilities. Like there is something which has made you kind of scared or cautious of Saturn. And this is also interesting. And Mars also has a nonagon with the Sun. Those are specific karmic aspects. They are also rare. So basically, in simple words, your Sun is in the middle of Mars and Saturn. Two karmic aspects with both Saturn and Mars. So another, you see, like, I love this, you know, when you start exploring a chart and you just see how things really make sense. Like, it's not just random indications, but you can put them together. Like here, it's another confirmation that your path is somehow between Saturn and Mars. Like, they are both very important. But because Mars is now intercepted and in 12th house, I think that in the past you have developed more the Mars qualities, and Saturn has been something that you have either struggled with but now the focus is more on Saturn. And at the end, you will be able to, it's not at the end, I mean, after you learn the Saturn lessons, you will be able to balance those. So not to live only in the Mars energy, you know, like, oh, I'm doing everything, I'm not thinking about consequences, or I'm taking too many risks, or, you know, not like this, but also not like Saturn, you know, like to be too cautious or to feel limited. It's again a very interesting combination. To be able, you know, one of your also tasks, and I would say positive things that you can learn, to know when and how to take risks. Yeah, that's Mars and Saturn, and also how they can work with your fifth house.
Yes. Very risks. That's good.
Let's see how this connects to your natal chart, if we can find. Okay, we have something. This progressed new moon on the 1st degree of Leo is in conjunction with your natal Venus, even though Venus is on the last degree of Cancer, but they are in conjunction. The orb is 1 degree and 15 minutes. What was Venus status? Venus was, okay, that's just, Venus is the focal point of this interesting configuration that you have, the green configuration. So you should also focus more on doing things the Venus way, the Venus style. So not so much Mars, you know, not like through fight and through struggle, but through Venus, through creating harmony, with love also. And again, this is something that you have worked. Now you just need to let it, you know, shine more and use it in a practical way for practical things. But basically your Venus is playing a major role. So, and this is something that comes from the past. So again, this is also about the importance of love. It could be relationships. It could be anything connected to beauty, all of that. This is definitely the most important. So this conjunction is absolutely top level priority. And we also see a creative aspect with the natal Mars. So in the progressed chart, prenatal progressed chart, you have a karmic aspect between the progressed moon and Mars, which made things more intense. Like, you know, there could have been some kind of difficulties, but how it connects to your natal chart is different. It's a creative aspect. So again, Mars and this creative aspect basically between Venus and Mars is really accentuated. So if I try to make a comparison between my chart, I'm not sure if you were able to join us from the beginning when I was showing. Were you able?
No, but I will watch.
You can watch the recording. Yes, I was showing my chart, and in my chart, I just demonstrated how important my Mercury and Pluto aspect is because of such things. Like if you look just in the natal chart, okay, aspect is a regular aspect, like it doesn't stand out. The analogy with your chart is in your natal chart, this key aspect that would stand out is the Venus-Mars, this one. It's semi-quintile. So this aspect is something that you should also, it's like an incredible potential that you have from the past.
Wow.
Not so like you don't have such a fast, immediate access to it. So you can keep developing it even more in the future because Mars is intercepted. But this is, this is really, really interesting.
Wow.
Okay, let me see if there is anything else. Quintile with the moon. There is a quintile with the moon. Yes. The progressed new moon also has an aspect with the moon, with the natal moon, which is in 5th house. So another connection with your 5th house. And the moon is ruling 2nd. So
one thing I've noticed just in my limited learning is that the Venus and the moon are in mutual reception. I don't know if that.
Oh, yeah. That too. So they are in mutual reception. You're right. They also have a quintile, a creative aspect. No, here it's not. They are connected through the progressed new moon. Yes, and again, we see like a very strong link between your 5th and 2nd house. So from one side, it's creativity in a material, practical way. But another thing is also money. Money is also an important theme that you need to work on. And you can succeed in that. You can have some really good results in this area. Money, let me see. What is, if you don't mind sharing, what is your work or what are you doing for a living?
I've been a nurse for quite a long time. The past couple of years, I've been in hospice.
So it's also Neptune. You're working on your Neptune and the moon. I think that this work is obviously very good for you with Neptune and the bisextile and the moon and all of that. But you have also like other options and things that you can develop.
I'm definitely feeling the call to like up level or change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, with those, with so many creative aspects, let me see also. You have interception in 6th house. What else? Pluto. Yes, there could be a career change for you. You can shift into something else. Okay, Erin, do you have any questions, or do you want to add anything or share?
Yeah, I mean, for when you're saying about the creative stuff, I mean, hold on, sweetie, yeah. That really is my passion, is doing like creative crafts, the artsy stuff. I make a lot of quilts and whatnot. I even tried to make it into a business, but it hasn't really bore much fruit at this time. But then I also really love astrology, so I'm thinking about, you know, further studying that too, as possible career options. So
Yes, absolutely. It's possible for you. Uranus is ruling your 9th house. So that's also a very beneficial indication. Like, let me just see the aspects with your 9th house. Uranus is squaring your 9th house, so it brings even more intense energy. It's like Uranus ruling 9th house is a very good indication, because it makes your mind more open, you know, to, we can say, the sky, the universe, whatever, like, you know, the different type of information and knowledge. But for me, the most essential is the connection between Uranus and this stellium here with your Mercury and the Sun. So you do have a potential for that. And more than that, I would say that I think that you can even earn money from this, because all of those planets here are positioned in your 2nd house. So yes, I think that this is a very good direction for you.
wonderful.
Yes. Okay, Erin, let's just see if there are any questions here. Okay, I will check them actually in a moment. So thank you very much for being brave and participating. It was very nice to
Thank
meet.
you so much.
You are welcome.
It was nice to meet you.
Yes, you can switch back to us on YouTube.
Okay.
You there. Okay. So guys, if you have any questions about the chart or what we discussed, again, it's 2 hours. I thought we would do it faster today, but we get carried away. Astrology is interesting. So just waiting a few moments if you have any questions. We have a little bit of delay, so I know that. That's why I'm waiting if you want to ask. And of course, I want to thank all of you for joining me, for spending this time, even on Thanksgiving. Again, happy Thanksgiving to all of our US friends. And next week, we will continue with our journey. Again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. at 12 p.m. Eastern. We have other interesting topics. I will actually check very quickly to remind you what are our upcoming topics. Where were they? So the next 3 days, we will talk first about making a long-term prediction for one life area. Like, how do you do that? Then we will talk about making a 1-year prediction and considering like all of the factors. And the last meeting will be generally about development and progress and all of that. We will also have, if we have volunteers, we will explore your charts. So if you want to have a reading with me, you will get this opportunity. And I want to remind you again that if you sign up for our course starting during December until the end of the day, you will get different bonuses, including the live study analysis of your chart. So that's extremely helpful and interesting if you want to know where you can develop, how you can develop, and all of that. All right. Senior is asking, my past life chart with the South Node on MC and my prenatal has North Node on MC. Well, you need to explore what it means. I can't tell you like this without looking at the chart, Senior, because it may mean many things depending on how everything is positioned. So for most of the things, the answer is you need to explore the whole chart. Just see what changes and what remains the same. Those are like the main focuses. So you are heroes. If you have been here with me for 2 hours, you are my heroes. If you have been with us for 5 minutes, I'm also grateful for you. So everyone is welcome to join us whenever they want. So again, if you are interested, you can check more information about the courses, or you can contact me if you have any questions. And I will see you next week with another 3 days of practice and knowledge and information and all of that.